Welcome back to Soothing Dreamtime Ambience, my dear friend. Thank you for joining me on this calming journey to the beautiful planet Saturn. For the next 2 hours, you are free from all of your earthly problems. You have nowhere to be, nothing to accomplish, and nothing to prove. This time is yours alone, a gift of peace and restoration. Find your most comfortable position now. Whether you're lying in bed, resting on a soft surface, or sitting in gentle repose, allow your body to be completely supported. Make any small adjustments you need. Perhaps soften your pillow. Release your shoulders. Let your arms rest naturally at your sides. When you feel settled, gently close your eyes and begin to leave the world behind. Take a deep, cleansing breath in through your nose, drawing in cosmic energy and infinite possibility, and release it slowly through your mouth, letting go of the entire day. Again, breathe in the vastness of space and exhale all tension, all worry, all thought. One more time. Inhale deeply, filling yourself with starlight, and exhale completely, becoming empty, peaceful and still. Now let your breathing return to its own natural rhythm. Soft and effortless, like the quiet turning of planets in their orbits. Saturn drifts in the velvet darkness of space, the 6th planet from our warming sun. A golden giant, serene and still. Saturn floats 900 million miles away. Ancient beyond measure, born 4.5 billion years ago. A world of whispers and gentle winds. Saturn is the 2nd largest planet in our solar system. 9 times wider than Earth, yet light as a dream. This giant could float in water, so gentle is its being. Saturn spins through space, a ballet of rings and moons. One day on Saturn lasts just 10 hours and 33 minutes. A single year stretches across 29 Earth years. Time moves differently in the outer reaches of our solar system. The rings of Saturn shimmer like silk in sunlight. These rings stretch 175,000 miles across, wider than the space between Earth and its moon. Yet the rings are thin, so delicate, barely half a mile deep. Imagine a disk of ice and rock, spinning slowly. Billions of particles dance in harmony. Some pieces small as grains of sand. Others large as mountains, drifting in the dark. Saturn's rings are made of water ice. Frozen crystals that catch and reflect the distant sun. They sparkle like diamonds in the cosmic night. 7 main rings circle this sleeping giant. Named with letters A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Each ring has its own story, its own rhythm. The A ring, the B ring, ancient and patient. Between them lies the Cassini division, a gap in the dance. A space 2,900 miles wide. Dark and empty, a breath between movements. Saturn's atmosphere swirls with clouds of amber and cream. Hydrogen and helium, the lightest elements. Winds blow faster than sound itself. 1,000 miles per hour, yet Saturn remains peaceful. Deep beneath the clouds lies an ocean of liquid hydrogen. A sea with no shore, no bottom to touch. Pressure and heat transform the familiar into mystery. At Saturn's heart may rest a core of rock and ice. Heavy elements compressed by the weight of a world. Temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. Yet from space, Saturn appears cold and calm. Saturn has no solid ground to stand upon. A gas giant, ethereal and weightless. You could not walk on Saturn's surface. There is no surface, only deepening mists. This planet is a symphony of storms. At Saturn's North Pole spins a hexagonal storm. 6 perfect sides, each one longer than Earth is wide. A geometric mystery, turning in the clouds. The hexagon has been spinning for decades, unchanging. Scientists wonder at its perfect shape. A cosmic puzzle in shades of gold. Saturn's south pole holds a hurricane larger than Earth. An eye of storm that has raged for years. Lightning flashes in its depths, 10,000 times stronger than ours. Yet from here, it is silent, peaceful, distant. Saturn is orbited by 146 moons, each one a world unto itself. Titan, the largest, bigger than the planet Mercury. Titan wears an atmosphere of nitrogen and methane. Orange clouds hide lakes of liquid methane on its surface. A distant echo of young Earth, frozen in time. Enceladus, small and bright, reflects almost all light that touches it. Ice geysers erupt from its south pole, shooting water into space, creating Saturn's E-ring. Beneath Enceladus's ice may flow an ocean of liquid water. Mimas bears a crater so large it nearly shattered the moon. The Herschel crater, spanning 1/3 of Mimas's surface. Yet Mimas endures, ancient and unchanged. Iapetus wears two faces, one dark, one bright. Half the moon is dark as coal, the other white as snow. A cosmic yin and yang, orbiting in silence. Rhea, the second largest moon, cratered and cold. Tethys, with its great canyon stretching across one face. Dione, subtle and quiet, icy and distant. Each moon moves in its own orbit, its own time. Saturn's rings cast shadows on the planet below. Dark stripes across golden clouds. During Saturn's equinox, the rings seem to vanish. Viewed edge-on, they are too thin to see. For a moment, Saturn appears naked, unadorned. Then, as the planet tilts, the rings return. A reminder of beauty and impermanence. Voyager 1 visited Saturn in 1980, sending back the first close glimpses of this world. Voyager 2 followed in 1981. Their cameras captured wonders humans had never seen. The Cassini spacecraft arrived in 2004. For 13 years, it orbited and observed, discovering new moons, studying the rings. In 2017, Cassini dove into Saturn's atmosphere. A final journey, a last embrace. The spacecraft became part of the planet it studied. Now Saturn continues its ancient orbit, unchanged. Tilted on its axis, 26 degrees. This tilt gives Saturn seasons, like Earth. Each season lasts 7 years. spring, summer, autumn, winter, in slow succession. Saturn emits more heat than it receives from the sun. A world still cooling from its birth, glowing faintly in the infrared. A dying ember in the cosmic dark. The rings of Saturn may be younger than the dinosaurs. Perhaps only 100 million years old. Or they may be ancient as the solar system itself. Scientists still debate their origin. Were they formed from a shattered moon? Or are they remnants from Saturn's creation? Perhaps we will never know with certainty. And that is part of Saturn's magic. From Earth, Saturn appears as a bright star. Steady, unwavering, golden in color. The ancients named it for the Roman god of time. Slow-moving, patient, eternal. Through a telescope, even a small one, you can see the rings. A sight that has amazed humans for 400 years. Galileo first saw them in 1610. Though he could not understand what he was seeing. He called them ears on either side of Saturn. Later, better telescopes revealed the truth. Those ears were rings, magnificent and vast. A crown for the jewel of the solar system. Saturn teaches us about patience. Its slow orbit, its ancient rings. Everything about this planet speaks of deep time. Of processes that unfold over millions of years. As you rest, imagine floating near Saturn. Weightless in the peaceful void. The rings stretching before you, catching starlight. Moons drifting by like gentle companions. The golden glow of the planet below. Storm clouds swirling in slow motion. All is quiet in space. All is still. Only the silent dance of celestial bodies. You are safe here in this vision. Floating in the calm darkness. Saturn watches over you, steady and eternal. A gentle giant in the cosmic ocean. Let Saturn's peace become your peace. Its stillness, your stillness. Its eternal orbit, a reminder that all is well. The universe continues its dance. and you are part of that dance. Resting, floating, peaceful. Saturn drifts on. And so do you. Into sleep. Into dreams. Into the gentle darkness. Beyond Saturn's rings lies a realm of mystery. The outer solar system, cold and distant, where sunlight is 40 times weaker than on Earth. Yet Saturn glows with its own inner warmth, radiating twice the energy it receives from the Sun. A gentle heat, leaking slowly into space. The legacy of Saturn's formation, still fading. Saturn's magnetosphere extends far beyond the planet. An invisible shield shaped by the solar wind, protecting the moons that orbit within. Charged particles spiral along magnetic field lines, creating auroras at Saturn's poles. Curtains of light, violet and ultraviolet, dancing to the rhythm of the solar wind. The rings sing with radio waves. Electromagnetic whispers too faint for human ears. But spacecraft have heard their song. The music of ice and rock in motion. Each particle in the rings orbits at its own speed. Inner rings move faster, outer rings move slower. This creates waves and patterns in the ice. Density waves, spiral waves, bending waves. The rings are not solid, but fluid. A disk of countless independent orbits. Shepherding moons guide the ring particles. Small moons like Pan and Daphnis. Their gravity carves gaps and channels, creating the intricate structure we see. The Enki Gap, swept clear by Pan. The Keeler Gap, maintained by Daphnis. These tiny moons, barely visible. Yet their influence shapes an entire ring system. Saturn's rotation creates powerful jet streams. Winds racing around the planet in bands. Eastward at some latitudes, westward at others. Each band a river of atmosphere. The equatorial jet stream is the fastest. Winds reaching 1,000 miles per hour. Faster than any wind on Earth. Yet from space, Saturn seems serene. The clouds form delicate bands of color. Pale gold, soft amber, cream and white. Subtle hues blending into one another. Unlike Jupiter's vivid storms and stripes, Saturn's beauty is gentle, understated. A pastel painting in the darkness. Deep in Saturn's atmosphere, clouds form layers. Water ice clouds in the deepest layer. Ammonium hydrosulfide clouds in the middle. Ammonia ice clouds at the top. Each layer has its own chemistry, its own story. Lightning flashes between the cloud layers. Storms that rage for months or years. Yet they eventually fade, giving way to calm. Every 30 years, a great white spot appears. A massive storm erupting in Saturn's northern hemisphere, growing to encircle the entire planet, then slowly dissipating over months. The last great white spot appeared in 2010. Visible even through amateur telescopes on Earth. A reminder that Saturn is alive with weather. Constantly changing, never still. Hyperion is one of Saturn's strangest moons. Shaped like a sponge, porous and irregular. It tumbles chaotically through space. No one can predict its rotation. Phoebe orbits in the opposite direction. A retrograde orbit, moving against the flow. This moon may be a captured asteroid. A visitor from the outer solar system. Prometheus and Pandora are shepherd moons. They orbit on either side of the F ring. Their gravity keeps the narrow ring confined. Without them, the F ring would spread and fade. The F ring itself is a puzzle. Twisted, braided, knotted. Changing appearance over weeks and months. A dynamic, ever-shifting structure. Sometimes the rings appear to have spokes. Dark radial features rotating with the planet. These are clouds of fine dust, levitated by electromagnetic forces. They appear and disappear with the seasons. Another mystery of the ring system. Saturn's day is divided into zones. Each latitude rotates at a different speed. The equator spins fastest. The poles spin more slowly. This differential rotation drives the winds, creating the jet streams and weather patterns. A planet in constant internal motion, yet maintaining its peaceful exterior. If you could stand on Titan's surface, the sky would be a hazy orange. The sun would be invisible through the thick atmosphere. Methane rain would fall from the clouds. Rivers of methane would flow to the seas. The temperature, minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit. Cold enough to freeze all water solid. Yet methane remains liquid in Titan's cold. Titan is the only moon with a thick atmosphere. The only place beyond Earth with stable liquid on its surface. A world that challenges our definitions of what makes a place Earth-like. Scientists wonder if life could exist in Titan's methane lakes. Life unlike anything on Earth. Using different chemistry, different rules. Perhaps we will visit Titan one day and find out. The Dragonfly mission will launch in the 2030s. A drone that will fly through Titan's atmosphere, exploring this alien world from above, searching for signs of chemistry that could lead to life. Saturn's E-ring is enormous, stretching from Mimas to Titan. But it is extremely diffuse, made of microscopic ice crystals. These crystals come from Enceladus, shot into space by the ice geysers. Some particles escape, forming the E-ring. Others fall back to the moon's surface. This makes Enceladus the brightest object in the solar system, reflecting nearly 100% of sunlight. A tiny moon, shining like a beacon against the darkness of space. As you imagine Saturn and its moons, feel the vastness of space around you. The silence, the stillness. In this cosmic ocean, you are safe, held gently by gravity's invisible hand, drifting in the peaceful void. Saturn's rings catch the distant sunlight, glittering softly. The moons move in their ancient orbits, patient, eternal, unchanging. Time slows here. In the outer solar system, where a year is 29 Earth years, where patience is measured in centuries. Let this slowness seep into you. Let Saturn's patience become yours. There is no rush, no urgency. Only the gentle drift of celestial bodies. The slow dance of the cosmos. Rest in this knowledge that the universe continues, that Saturn orbits, that all is as it should be. Your breath slows, your thoughts quiet. Like Saturn, you are at peace, floating in the darkness, serene and still, into deeper rest, into sleep, into dreams of distant worlds. The solar system formed from a cloud of gas and dust. 4.5 billion years ago. The cloud collapsed under its own gravity, spinning faster as it grew smaller. At its center, the sun ignited. Around it, planets began to form. Saturn coalesced in the outer regions, where it was cold enough for ice to exist. The young Saturn gathered hydrogen and helium, growing larger, pulling in more gas, until it became the giant we see today. Its rings may have formed later, perhaps from a moon that ventured too close, torn apart by tidal forces. Its fragments spreading into rings. Or perhaps the rings are primordial, left over from Saturn's formation. Either way, they have endured, orbiting for millions of years. Saturn and Jupiter shaped the solar system together. Their gravity influenced the orbits of smaller worlds, sending some asteroids inward toward the Sun, flinging others outward into the darkness. The asteroid belt exists because of Jupiter. The Kuiper belt shaped by Neptune and the other giants. Saturn played its part in this cosmic choreography. A gravitational shepherd of the outer system. The Cassini spacecraft taught us so much. 13 years of patient observation. Orbiting Saturn, studying every detail. Measuring the rings, mapping the moons. Cassini discovered new moons we never knew existed. Small moonlets hiding in the rings. It watched storms develop and fade. It dove through Enceladus's ice plumes, tasting the water from the hidden ocean, finding organic molecules, the building blocks of life. Cassini flew close to Titan over 100 times, piercing the orange haze with radar, revealing mountains and valleys, rivers and lakes of liquid methane, sand dunes made of hydrocarbon grains, a landscape both alien and familiar. The Huygens probe separated from Cassini, descending through Titan's atmosphere. The first landing on a moon in the outer solar system. It sent back pictures of a pebbly shore, rocks of water ice, rounded by flowing methane, a riverbed on an alien world. For 2 hours, Huygens transmitted data, then fell silent, its battery exhausted. But those 2 hours changed our understanding of what a moon could be. Saturn's gravity holds its family together. Moons and rings in a delicate balance. Some moons orbit in resonance with others. Their periods related by simple ratios. Mimas and Tethys in a 4:2 resonance. Enceladus and Dione in a 2-to-1 resonance. These resonances create tidal heating, flexing the moons, warming their interiors. This is why Enceladus has geysers, why its ocean remains liquid beneath the ice. Tidal heating from its orbital dance with Dione. Energy flowing through gravitational connections. The universe is full of such connections. Invisible threads linking distant objects. Gravity, the weakest force, yet it shapes galaxies. It creates stars, it forms planets. It holds you to the earth. It keeps the moon in orbit. It guides Saturn on its path around the sun. Everything connected, everything in balance. If you traveled to Saturn, the journey would be long. With current technology, 7 years. 7 years crossing the void. Passing Mars, the asteroid belt, Jupiter. Watching the sun grow smaller behind you. The stars growing brighter as you leave Earth's glow. Finally, Saturn would appear. First as a star, then showing its rings. Growing larger day by day. Until it fills your view. A world of wonder waiting. The rings would shimmer in the sunlight. Each particle catching and reflecting light. Creating a spectacle unmatched in the solar system. You would see gaps and divisions. The dark Cassini division, empty and clear. The bright B ring, dense and opaque. The delicate F ring, twisted and braided. Each ring unique, each with its own character. Flying through the ring plane would be dangerous. Even small particles at orbital speeds could damage a spacecraft. So you would approach from above or below. Looking down on the rings from a safe distance. Watching them edge on as you cross the plane. Then seeing them from the other side. A different perspective, a new view. Saturn's moons would pass by, each one a destination in itself. Titan, wrapped in its orange clouds. Enceladus, shooting ice into space. Iapetus, half dark and half light. Mimas, with its giant crater staring like an eye. So many worlds, so many mysteries. Each one calling out to be explored. But for now, we explore with our minds, with our imagination and our instruments, sending spacecraft to see what we cannot. Learning, always learning. About Saturn, about the universe. About our place in the cosmos. Saturn reminds us of time's vastness, of scales beyond human comprehension. A planet 4.5 billion years old, orbiting for all that time, never stopping, never resting, yet appearing so peaceful, so still from our distant view. Motion and stillness are not opposites. Saturn moves at 30,000 miles per hour, yet seems to hang motionless in space, like a dancer in a slow spin, moving yet centered, active yet calm. You can be like this too, moving through life, yet centered, active in the world, yet calm within, finding your orbit, your steady path. Let Saturn's example guide you. Be vast like Saturn. Be patient like its long orbit. Be beautiful like its rings. Be mysterious like its hexagonal storm. Be generous like Enceladus, giving water to the void. Be complex like Titan, with hidden depths. These qualities exist in the cosmos, and they exist in you. As you rest, feel yourself expanding, like a gas giant gathering material, growing larger, more encompassing, holding space for all your experiences, Your dreams orbit you like moons. Your thoughts form rings around your consciousness. Everything has its place. Everything is held in balance. Sleep comes like nightfall on Titan. Slow and gentle. The light fading gradually. Darkness not as absence, but as presence. The presence of rest. The presence of peace. Saturn watches over you. Distant but constant. A golden guardian in the night sky. Rest now. Dream of rings and moons. Of ice crystals and methane seas. Of vast distances and gentle orbits. Of Saturn's eternal patience. And your own deep peace. In the darkness between stars, Saturn glows. A pale amber light, steady and constant. From Earth, it appears as one of 5 wandering stars. The ancients noticed these wanderers. Stars that moved against the fixed background. Planets, they called them, from the Greek word for wanderer. Saturn was the slowest of all, taking nearly 30 years to complete its journey. Across the zodiac constellations. The Romans named it Saturnus, god of time, agriculture, and wealth. Father of Jupiter, ruler before the Olympians. A deity of endings and beginnings, of cycles and seasons. The name fits perfectly, for Saturn embodies deep time. Patience measured in decades. Cycles that span human lifetimes. In other cultures, Saturn had other names. The Babylonians called it Ninurta. The Hindus knew it as Shani. The Chinese called it the Earth Star. Each culture saw its slow, steady movement and recognized something profound, something ancient and enduring. Saturn's density is less than water. 0.69 grams per cubic centimeter. If you could find an ocean large enough, Saturn would float. This giant planet, so massive, yet light enough to drift on water. A paradox of size and substance. 95 times Earth's mass, but composed mostly of hydrogen. The lightest element in the universe. Saturn is not a solid world you could stand on. But neither is it simply gas. Deep inside, the pressure is immense. Hydrogen becomes metallic. A strange state of matter. Neither gas nor liquid nor solid. But something in between. Metallic hydrogen conducts electricity, creating Saturn's magnetic field. This field extends far into space, protecting the moons from solar wind, creating a bubble of influence. A magnetosphere that breathes with the solar wind, expanding when the wind is calm, contracting when it blows strong. The ring system has gaps and divisions, not just the large Cassini division, but thousands of smaller gaps, created by resonances with moons. Each gap is a cleared zone, where a moon's gravity sweeps particles away, creating order from chaos, structure from randomness. The rings are not uniform. Some regions are dense, others sparse. Some bright, others dark. The sea ring is semi-transparent. You could see through it to the planet below. The B ring is opaque, blocking all light that tries to pass. Millions of tons of ice, compressed into a thin disk. Scientists have measured the ring's mass. equivalent to a moon about 200 miles across. All that material spread into a vast plain, creating one of nature's most beautiful structures. The rings are not solid but particulate. Each piece on its own orbit, yet together they form a coherent whole. Like a flock of birds moving as one, or a school of fish turning together. Individual yet unified. Separate yet connected. This is a pattern repeated throughout nature. From atoms to galaxies, parts forming wholes, individuals creating communities, cells forming bodies, stars forming galaxies. You are part of this pattern too. Made of cells working together. Part of families and communities. Connected to all of life on Earth. And Earth is part of the solar system. The solar system part of the galaxy. The galaxy part of the universe. Everything nested within everything else. Saturn's rings cast shadows on the planet. Dark bands crossing the golden clouds. These shadows move as Saturn orbits the Sun, changing angle with the seasons. During summer in Saturn's northern hemisphere, the rings cast shadows on the southern hemisphere. During winter, the opposite occurs. At equinox, the shadows are thin lines, crossing the equator perfectly. Light and shadow dance across Saturn, following the rhythm of the seasons, each lasting 7 Earth years, long enough for children to grow, for trees to reach toward the sky, for rivers to carve new paths. Saturn's seasons unfold in deep time, reminding us that change can be slow, that patience has its rewards. that some things cannot be rushed. The moons of Saturn are diverse. From tiny, irregular shapes to massive Titan with its thick atmosphere. Some moons are icy and bright. Others dark with organic compounds. Some are cratered and ancient. Others show signs of recent activity. Enceladus is geologically active today. Its south pole warm and erupting. Tethys has a vast canyon system. Ithaca Chasma, stretching 3/4 around the moon. A scar from an ancient impact. Or perhaps from internal stress. As the moon's interior froze and expanded. Each moon tells a story of formation and evolution, of impacts and erosion, of heat and cold, of time's patient sculpting. Looking at Saturn from Earth is a meditation. Through a telescope, you see the rings. Suspended impossibly around the golden sphere. The planet tilted, showing its north or south pole. Depending on where Earth is in its orbit. Sometimes you might see Titan, a tiny dot near the rings. The largest moon, barely visible. From so far away. In that moment, looking through the telescope, you connect with something vast. A world nearly 1 billion miles distant. Yet visible, tangible, real. The photons that touch your eye. Left Saturn's clouds hours ago. Traveled across the solar system. To bring you this image. Light itself is a traveler. Connecting all things that see. Carrying information across the void. From Saturn to you. Rest now in the knowledge of Saturn. This golden world with its ring crown, its family of moons, its slow orbit through the stars. Let the vastness comfort you. The universe is large. Your worries are small in comparison. Not meaningless, but proportioned. Held in perspective. By the scale of cosmic time. Saturn continues its orbit, as it has for billions of years, as it will for billions more. Constant, patient, enduring. Be like Saturn tonight. Constant in your rest. Patient in your sleep. Enduring through the night. Tomorrow will come. As surely as Saturn orbits. But now is time for rest. For peace. For the gentle darkness. Sleep comes softly. Like Saturn's rings appearing at dawn. Subtle, beautiful, inevitable. Rest. Saturn's rings rain down upon the planet. A gentle precipitation of ice and organic molecules, called ring rain by scientists. Particles spiral inward, pulled by gravity and electromagnetic forces, falling into Saturn's upper atmosphere. 10 tons every second. A constant shower invisible to the eye. This rain may give Saturn's rings a lifetime. Perhaps only 100 million years remain. Before the rings fade away completely. We are witnessing them in their prime. A temporary crown for an eternal king. How fortunate we are to see them now. In this brief window of cosmic time. Saturn's North Pole hexagon rotates. Not with the clouds, but independently. slightly faster than the planet itself. Each side of the hexagon is 9,000 miles long, wider than Earth's diameter. Winds along its edges reach 200 miles per hour, creating this six-sided jet stream. No other planet has anything like it. Scientists have recreated it in laboratories, with spinning buckets of water. Different rotation speeds create polygon shapes. 3 sides, 4 sides, 6 sides. Depending on the conditions. Saturn happened to create a hexagon. Geometry emerging from fluid dynamics. Order from chaos. Pattern from randomness. Inside the hexagon sits another feature. A hurricane at the exact North Pole. With a dark eye 20 times larger than Earth's hurricanes. Spinning like a cosmic whirlpool. Hexagon within hurricane within Saturn. Nested patterns repeating. The universe loves patterns. Spirals in galaxies and seashells. Hexagons in Saturn's storms and honeycombs. Fractals in coastlines and clouds. Mathematics written into nature. Or perhaps nature teaching us mathematics. Saturn's rings create sounds. Not sounds we could hear with ears, but radio emissions captured by spacecraft. Scientists have converted these to audible frequencies. The rings whistle and hiss, crackle and pop, like static from a distant radio station, or wind through bare winter trees. These are the voices of billions of ice particles, colliding, grinding, dancing, creating electromagnetic waves. The Song of the Rings. If you could float in space near Saturn, you would hear nothing. Space is silent, a vacuum. Sound needs air to travel. But with the right instruments, you could listen to Saturn's radio symphony. The music of a planetary system, playing for no audience but the stars. Saturn's magnetosphere creates kilometric radiation. Radio waves with wavelengths of kilometers. These emanate from the auroral regions, where charged particles spiral down magnetic field lines, crashing into the upper atmosphere, creating light and radio waves. A cosmic light show. Broadcasting across the solar system. The rings have propeller-shaped structures. Discovered by Cassini in detailed images. These are created by moonlets. Too small to see directly, but large enough to disturb the ring particles around them, creating wake patterns. Like a boat moving through water. Thousands of these propellers exist, each marking a hidden moon, embedded in the rings themselves. The rings are a nursery for moons. Particles occasionally clump together, forming larger bodies. Some grow large enough to become moonlets. Others are torn apart by tidal forces. A constant cycle of creation and destruction. Birth and death in the rings. Mimas has an unusual property. It is tidally locked to Saturn. One face always pointing toward the planet. But the giant Herschel crater is not on that face. It sits slightly off to the side. Scientists think the impact that created it may have been strong enough to rotate Mimas. turning it slightly in its orbit. Before it locked again. A moon that was spun by impact. Then settled into new alignment. Enceladus's ocean contains complex organic molecules. Methane, propane, ethane, formaldehyde. Even larger molecules with carbon and nitrogen. The building blocks needed for life as we know it. Mixed in water warmed by tidal friction. Could life exist in that dark ocean? We do not know yet. But the conditions seem favorable. Water, energy, organic chemistry. The recipe for life. Present on a moon of Saturn. Perhaps we are not alone in this solar system. Perhaps life swims in Enceladus's ocean. Simple, microbial, but alive. Adapted to eternal darkness. To crushing pressure and bitter cold. Life finds a way. Even in the most unlikely places. Titan's atmosphere is thicker than Earth's. 1.5 times the pressure at sea level. But composed mostly of nitrogen. With methane making up a few percent. This methane creates a greenhouse effect. Without it, Titan would be even colder. The methane also forms photochemical smog. When sunlight breaks it apart, creating complex hydrocarbons. These drift down like snow, coating Titan's surface, building up over millions of years. A moon covered in organic material. The chemistry of life, but frozen. Waiting, perhaps, for warmth. In billions of years, the sun will expand. Becoming a red giant. Earth will be consumed. But Saturn will survive. And Titan may warm. Its ice melting into liquid water. Its organic chemistry awakening. Perhaps then, Titan will become a cradle for life. Long after Earth is gone. The future is unwritten. But the possibilities are endless. Saturn's ring particles are mostly pure water ice. But some contain rocky material. Silicates mixed with the ice. And organic compounds that make them slightly red. The exact composition varies. From the inner rings to the outer. Each ring has its own chemistry. Its own story of formation. Some particles are ancient. Dating back to Saturn's formation. Others are young. Created by recent collisions. The rings are dynamic, ever-changing. Yet appear eternal from Earth. Another paradox of Saturn. Change and constancy together. As you drift towards sleep. Imagine yourself as a particle in Saturn's rings. Part of something larger than yourself. Moving in harmony with countless others. Each on your own path. Yet creating beauty together. You are small, but not insignificant. Temporary, but part of something eternal. The rings teach us this. That we can be both individual and connected. Both small and part of something magnificent. Rest in this knowledge. You are exactly where you should be. Moving at exactly the right speed. in orbit around your own life, creating your own beauty. As part of the cosmic dance, sleep now, like Saturn resting in space. Peaceful, patient, enduring. Tomorrow the orbit continues. But tonight, simply rest. Saturn's core may be dissolving. Scientists discovered this surprising possibility. The immense heat and pressure may be slowly eroding the rocky center. Helium and heavier elements rain downward. Through the metallic hydrogen ocean. Like drops sinking through liquid. This helium rain generates additional heat. Friction as it falls. Explaining why Saturn radiates more energy than expected. The planet is powered by its own slow dissolution. A furnace fed by falling helium. Even planets have internal weather. Rain that falls for millions of years. Through layers we can never see. Saturn's magnetic field has a mystery. It is almost perfectly aligned with the planet's rotation axis. Unlike Earth, Jupiter, or Neptune, whose magnetic poles tilt away from their spin axes. Saturn's alignment is within 1 degree. This should not be possible. According to dynamo theory, the magnetic field should wobble. Yet it does not. Scientists are still seeking the explanation. Perhaps the field is generated deeper than thought. Or perhaps Saturn has another secret. Hidden in its interior. The universe loves mysteries. Puzzles waiting to be solved. Some answers lead to more questions. Each discovery opening new doors. Saturn's atmosphere contains trace amounts of phosphine, a molecule with phosphorus and hydrogen. It should not exist at Saturn's cloud tops. Too cold for the chemical reactions that create it. Yet there it is. Carried upward from deeper, hotter layers. By powerful convection currents. Rising from the depths. Like messages from the abyss. Telling us about conditions far below. Where no spacecraft could survive. The atmosphere is a window. Into the planet's hidden heart. Iapetus has an equatorial ridge. Running along its center like a seam. "12 miles high in places. Circling almost the entire moon. Making Iapetus look like a walnut. No one knows how it formed. Perhaps Iapetus once spun much faster. And the ridge is a frozen bulge. From when it was young and soft. Or perhaps a ring once orbited Iapetus. And collapsed onto the surface. Creating this strange feature. Either way, it is unique in the solar system. A moon wearing a mountain belt. Like a crown along its middle. The two-tone surface of Iapetus is equally puzzling. The leading hemisphere is dark as coal. Coated with material that reflects only 3% of light. The trailing hemisphere is bright as snow. Reflecting 60% of light. The dark material may come from another moon. Phoebe, orbiting beyond Iapetus. Meteorite impacts on Phoebe. Eject dark dust into space. This dust slowly spirals inward. And Iapetus, leading with one face, sweeps it up like a windshield. Collecting the darkness over millions of years. Once started, the process accelerates. Dark material absorbs more heat. Causing ice to sublimate. Leaving more dark residue behind. A runaway effect. Creating the stark contrast we see today. Saturn's rings have waves called density waves. Like ripples in water. But these ripples are made of orbiting ice. Created by gravitational resonances with moons. When ring particles orbit at specific ratios. Two orbits for every 3 of a moon. Or 3 for every 4. The gravitational tugs align. Creating waves that propagate through the rings. Like sound waves through air. Scientists can measure these waves. And calculate the mass of the rings. Using the speed the waves travel. The rings themselves become an instrument. For measuring their own properties. A self-revealing structure. Pan, a tiny moon orbiting in the Encke Gap. Has an unusual shape. Like a flying saucer or ravioli. A round center with a ridge along its equator. This ridge is made of ring particles. Swept up by Pan as it orbits. Accumulating around its middle. Building up over time. Creating this distinctive shape. Japan is only 20 miles across. But powerful enough to carve a gap. In Saturn's majestic rings. Even small things can shape their environment. Given enough time and persistence. Cassini discovered vertical structures in the rings. Rising above the plane. Like towers or mountains. Visible when sunlight strikes at low angles. During Saturn's equinox. Some structures reach 2 miles high. Casting long shadows across the rings. These are created by gravitational disturbances. From small embedded moonlets. Or from the ring's own instabilities. The rings are not perfectly flat. But have texture and depth. Three-dimensional sculptures. In constant motion. Saturn's rotation period was difficult to measure. Because the planet has no solid surface. And its clouds rotate at different speeds. Scientists used radio emissions. From deep in the magnetosphere. These pulse with the planet's rotation. Like a cosmic lighthouse beam. But even this measurement was puzzling. Voyager measured one period. Cassini measured a slightly different one. "6 minutes longer." Had Saturn's rotation slowed? No, scientists realized. The radio emissions were misleading. Affected by the solar wind and seasons. The true rotation period remains uncertain. Hidden beneath layers of complexity. Even basic questions can be difficult. When studying a gas giant, Titan has sand dunes. Hundreds of feet high. Stretching for hundreds of miles. But these are not made of silicon sand. They are made of hydrocarbon grains. Solid organic particles. Formed in Titan's atmosphere. Drifting down like snow. Then blown by Titan's winds. Into vast dune fields. Dark against the lighter terrain. These dunes align with prevailing winds. Pointing east to west. A desert of organic material. On a moon far from the sun. Saturn's moons may exchange material. Water from Enceladus's plumes. Falls onto other nearby moons. Coating them with fresh ice. Creating a shared environment. A family connected by flowing water. Tiny particles traveling between worlds. Binding the Saturn system together. Like blood flowing through veins. Or air circulating through lungs. The moons breathe together. Sharing substance across the void. As you rest tonight, consider these connections. How everything influences everything else. How helium rains through Saturn. How Phoebe's dust darkens Iapetus. How Enceladus feeds the E-ring. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything is part of a system. You too are part of systems. Connected to others in ways seen and unseen. Rest in this web of connection. Supported, held, part of something larger. Let Saturn's mysteries lull you. Into deep, peaceful sleep. Saturn's rings may appear still from a distance, but they are in constant, delicate motion. Each ring is made of countless particles of ice and dust, many no larger than grains of sand. Some particles are as small as snowflakes, while others are as large as houses. Hidden within the rings are tiny moonlets, too small to be seen directly. These moonlets carve subtle shapes into the rings as they orbit Saturn. Scientists call these shapes propellers because they resemble the faint outline of spinning blades. The rings also ripple with waves caused by Saturn's gravity and internal vibrations. By studying these waves, scientists can learn about Saturn's interior without ever seeing it. In this way, Saturn's rings quietly listen to the planet's deepest movements. The rings are not just beautiful, they are storytellers of gravity, time, and motion. At Saturn's North Pole, an unusual shape floats in the clouds. It is a hexagon, a six-sided jet stream larger than the planet Earth. The hexagon has remained stable for decades, rotating with Saturn itself. No other planet in the solar system has anything like it. Winds inside the hexagon move at incredible speeds, faster than most jet aircraft. At the center of the hexagon lies a massive polar cyclone. This storm has an eye, much like a hurricane on Earth. Yet it has lasted for years, not days. Scientists believe the hexagon forms from differences in wind speed at different latitudes. Even so, its precise shape remains one of Saturn's greatest mysteries. Titan is Saturn's largest moon, and it is wrapped in a thick, hazy atmosphere. Beneath its icy crust lies something unexpected. Instead of a single smooth ocean, Titan may contain layers of slushy ice and liquid water. These layers shift slowly over time, like frozen currents beneath the surface. Some regions may briefly warm as tidal forces stretch and compress the moon. This creates pockets where chemistry can quietly unfold. Titan's surface rivers and lakes are not made of water, but liquid methane and ethane. Rain falls there too, carving channels into the frozen ground. Titan is the only moon in the solar system with weather cycles like Earth's. It is a cold world, but not a lifeless one. Enceladus is a small moon with a bright, icy surface. At its south pole, cracks stretch across the ice like glowing scars. From these cracks, water vapor and ice burst into space. These plumes rise hundreds of miles above the moon. They come from a global ocean hidden beneath the surface. Cassini flew directly through these plumes. It detected organic molecules, salt, and warm water. This suggests the ocean interacts with rock below. Such conditions may allow chemical reactions linked to life. Enceladus quietly feeds Saturn's earring with its icy spray. Many of Saturn's smaller moons are oddly shaped. Some resemble potatoes or spinning tops. Others appear flattened or stretched. These shapes suggest they formed from gentle collisions rather than violent impacts. Material may have slowly gathered in Saturn's orbit. Over time, these fragments stuck together. Gravity pulled them into imperfect forms. Some moons even have ridges running around their equators. These ridges may be leftover debris from ancient rings. Each moon preserves a quiet record of Saturn's early history. Iapetus is one of Saturn's most puzzling moons. One side is dark as charcoal. The other is bright as snow. This contrast gives Iapetus a yin-yang appearance. The dark material absorbs heat from the sun. This causes ice to sublimate and drift away. Over time, brightness gathers on one side. Dust from distant moons may also coat its surface. Iapetus has a massive ridge along its equator. It may be the remains of an ancient ring that collapsed. Saturn has dozens of tiny moons. Some are only a mile across. Many orbit at steep angles or in reverse directions. These moons may be captured objects from deep space. Others may be fragments of larger moons that broke apart. Some create faint rings or arcs as they travel. Their gravity subtly reshapes nearby particles. Even the smallest moon has an influence. Saturn's system is constantly adjusting itself. Nothing here is truly still. Saturn's atmosphere is layered and deep. Winds race across the planet at tremendous speeds. Some storms grow large enough to wrap around the planet. Lightning flashes illuminate towering cloud walls. These storms can last for months or even years. Heat rises from Saturn's interior. This internal warmth drives weather far from the sun. Cloud bands shift with the seasons. Saturn takes nearly 30 Earth years to orbit the Sun. Its storms evolve slowly, like breathing giants. Saturn's rings feel eternal, but they are not. Ice particles slowly fall into the planet below. This process is known as ring rain. Over time, the rings lose mass. They may be only a few 100 million years old. That makes them young by cosmic standards. Someday, the rings may fade entirely. Future skies around Saturn could be empty. We are living in a rare moment. A time when Saturn wears its crown. Cassini spent over a decade exploring Saturn. It revealed secrets hidden for centuries. In its final mission, it passed between the rings and the planet. This region had never been explored before. Cassini measured gravity, magnetism, and particles. Then it began its final descent. As it fell, it transmitted data until the very end. The spacecraft burned up in Saturn's atmosphere. This protected the moons from contamination. Cassini became part of Saturn forever. You are at peace. Now we enter a period of deep, cosmic silence. You'll float peacefully in space. Held by Jupiter's gentle energy. I'll offer soft reminders occasionally. But mostly, you'll simply be. Simply rest. Simply drift towards sleep. Let go of everything now. There's nothing more to do. Simply float in the peaceful darkness. Surrounded by stars. Held by the cosmos. Breathing softly. Floating peacefully. Drifting in cosmic peace. You are safe. You are held. You are at peace. Let yourself drift deeper. The universe surrounds you. The silence holds you. Rest in this infinite peace. Nothing to do. Nowhere to go. Simply being. Simply resting. Breathing gently. Floating softly. Drifting toward the sweetest sleep. You are weightless. You are peaceful. You are ready to sleep. Sleep deeply now.